Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 8th of November, now it's 10 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late on my Patreon page, in which I will share additional news that will be reported during the day by Russian media. And also, dear friends, if I may, let me know that only way we can fight back immensely aggressive algorithm of YouTube is likes and comments. And if you can, please click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like, and as many comments as you can. Let's see if we can deal with the algorithm. That being said, let's talk about news now. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports from Russian media and Russian military channels, there was no significant changes on any of the sectors of the front line. It's mainly artillery duels between the sides in which Russia has upper hand. It's a drone wars, of course, in which Russian side is also significantly more successful, and local level skirmishes. Initiative is in Russian hands all along the front line from Kherson region up to Kupiansk and Kharkov region. Despite dozens and dozens of attempts daily by Ukrainian forces to conduct some local scale counteroffensives to regain initiative on any of the areas, they are failing miserably, and well, that's why Russian side is calling these offensives meat offensives. It didn't sound nice, but that's how Russian forces see these suicidal offensive operations that basically are doomed to fail from the beginning. But for whatever reason, Kyiv regime is sending more and more units in these suicidal operations. And dear friends, I want to also note one quite significant difference that is taking place from Ukrainian side, which is that lately Kyiv regime began using in blocking detachment units foreign mercenaries. And in recent days, video began circulating on internet in which one of these blocking detachment units, which is full or filled with the foreign mercenaries, English-speaking mercenaries, did try to stop Ukrainian unit that was retreating. And this video footage was made by body cam of one of these foreign mercenaries, who eventually did make video of his own demise, because Ukrainian soldiers, when they did realize that this is detachment unit, did open fire straight away on point blank range on those mercenaries. And on video you can see two mercenaries have been killed by this retreating Ukrainian soldiers. So possibly Kyiv regime is running out of neo-Nazis also, because previously neo-Nazis were used in these blocking detachment units mainly. And now foreign mercenaries also did become part of this criminal and terrorist units that are basically executing and terrorizing Ukrainian soldiers on the front lines. Many of you probably did see that video on Telegram. I didn't share because it's quite graphic, but it is what it is. Let's continue with some other news now. And RIA Novosti is reporting that number of casualties in Donetsk city as a result of Ukrainian shelling yesterday afternoon did rise to 20. And unfortunately, 6 civilians were killed during that attack. Yet another war crime conducted by Kyiv regime, which is well documented by Russian side, but unfortunately, of course, Western media and Western ruling elite will say nothing about it at all. Like they did say nothing about shelling of civilians on Donbass by Kyiv regime since 2014, when thousands and thousands of civilians were killed. Also, by the way, TASS news agency is reporting, and this is extremely worrisome development, this information. Secretary of Russian Security Council, Nikolai Patrushev, did made a statement during his meeting with his colleagues from Commonwealth of Independent States, which is taking place in Moscow these days. And he said that Kiev regime, due to lack of any success on the battlefield, are more often using terrorist methods to attack Russia. And unfortunately, they are attacking even Russian nuclear power stations. And according to Nikolai Patrushev, Kiev regime did try to attack Leningrad nuclear power plant, Kalinin nuclear power plant, and Kursk nuclear power plant in a recent period of time. Very dangerous development. I did report whenever information is available here in Russia about these attacks on Russian nuclear power stations. And well, you tell me what kind of regime does conduct such attacks on nuclear power plants, by the way, and endangers lives of civilians, not just in Russia, but all around the Europe. But, you know, yet again, of course, International Atomic Energy will say, agency IAEA will say nothing about it because it's a tool of Western ruling elites, and of course Western media will also say nothing about it, although you can clearly see that Kiev regime is endangering lives of civilians, not just in Russia but also in Europe, by conducting these terrorist attacks on nuclear power stations. RIA Novosti, by the way, is reporting about also quite interesting development. Yesterday, one of Ukrainian MPs, whose name is Vladimir Ariev, did write a post on his Facebook page about decision of a new defense minister of Ukraine, Umerov, to fire head of general staff Zaluzhny. So this new defense minister did come up with such a initiative, and this MP did write about it, and after some time he deleted his own post and said that he was mistaken, basically. I guess someone called him and forced to delete his post, but information is not really unexpected. Especially if we take into account recent developments when the confrontation between Zaluzhny and Zelensky did become open, and Zelensky and his administration, representatives of his administration, began openly criticizing Zaluzhny. And dear friends, yesterday I did report that this confrontation between Zaluzhny and Zelensky has its first casualties, and aide of Zaluzhny was killed in very strange circumstances, to say the least. So it's quite possible that Zelensky will try to remove Zaluzhny from his duties. And also, dear friends, I remind you that Zelensky recently prolonged this martial law, according to which there can be no presidential elections in the Ukraine during martial law. And I guess that's a way that Zelensky wants to go. He wants to keep his powers, and he will prolong this martial law as long as he can, because he knows if there will be presidential elections, it's highly likely that he will lose. And Zaluzhny, as I understand, is significantly more popular among Ukrainian citizens than Zelensky, who has only about 50% of support, according to Ukrainian experts, by the way. But of course, Western media yet again will probably say nothing about Zelensky officially transferring himself to a dictator until Western media will receive order from ruling elites of the West that it's time to destroy Zelensky and it's time to begin writing more intensively some negative articles on Zelensky. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian armed forces began actively using modernized version of Krasnopol guided artillery shell. I did share on my Telegram page dozens of videos with the effective use of this Krasnopol guided shell. Well, Russian forces were targeting armored vehicles of Ukrainian armed forces or points of location of manpower or positions. And I guess this new modernized version of Krasnopol gonna be even more effective and devastating for Ukrainian armed forces. This shell, by the way, is almost like US Excalibur guided shell, although Excalibur is operating on GPS navigation, if I'm not mistaken, when Krasnopol mainly uses laser navigation. It's a laser guided. But anyway, it's only a matter of time when Russian side will put in these shells, and already many weapon systems are using Russian GLONASS navigation system, which is almost as good as GPS. Let's continue, if not better, in some cases. Let's continue, and RIA Novosti, by the way, is reporting that Ukrainian media is confirming explosions in Poltava region and also in Kryvyi Rog during the previous 12 to 24 hours. Russian side, of course, did continue missile and drone strikes on military and logistical infrastructure of Kiev regime, and one of the directions of those strikes were this region, Poltava region. I guess some airfields were struck. But anyway, let's continue. RT is also reporting that Dutch F-16s, 5 Dutch F-16s already arrived in Romania, by the way, in a training ground on one of the bases. Let me read several sentences. So Dutch military has donated 5 F-16 fighter jets for a new pilot training center based in Romania, which will be used to instruct Ukrainian pilots in flying the American-made warplane. The Netherlands Defense Ministry announced the move on Tuesday, noting that first bunch of F-16s had arrived at the new European F-16 training center in Borsia, Romania. Well, a few weeks ago, Prime Minister of Netherlands, Rutte, did make this announcement that 5 planes will be sent in Romania, and they already are redeployed. And also, dear friends, if you remember, about a week ago, Russian military channel Rebor did report that 5 F-16s have been already sent to Ukraine on trucks in different parts. And well, these planes maybe already are reassembled in Ukraine, and in fairly short time, if this information is correct, by the way, because despite so much days has passed since that report, no Russian official did make any comment on this topic, and no other confirmation of information that Ukraine already received F-16s. But if they did, if Kiev regime has F-16s, then I guess it's only a matter of weeks at this point, and F-16s will be used and probably destroyed on their very first flight by Russian air defense systems or Russian fighter jets. But point is that these planes probably will be piloted by NATO pilots, although of course European states and Washington will probably make statements that it's Ukrainian pilots and it's Ukrainian engineers that are maintaining these planes. And that's why these informations, by the way, are spreading that There are some training grounds and Ukrainian pilots beginning to train and so on. Although everybody does understands, who wants to know true, by the way, does understands that it's just absolutely impossible to train pilots for any plane, and especially for military plane, in several months' time. It's just impossible, but and of course also impossible to train engineers, by the way, maintenance crews for these planes in several months. It's you know, it's not happening. But anyway, Western ruling class don't really cares, I guess, so who will believe them or who will not. They will say, you know what, those F-16s have been piloted by Ukrainian pilots. And I did find it interesting that no Russian media outlet and no Russian officials did comment on information from Ribar that 5 F-16s have been delivered to Kiev regime. I wonder why. Why no reaction on this development? But anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting, dear friends, maybe Ribar was mistaken. Maybe Ribar was mistaken, but I don't know. I don't know. Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Politico did come up with article that EU officials, some EU officials are afraid that if they will send to Ukraine frozen Russian assets or surplus or profits from frozen Russian assets to Kiev regime, it will destabilize financial institutions in the Europe and also worldwide. It seems like there is two groups inside the EU bureaucracy. One group is probably are more pragmatics, and they do realize that this kind of move will finally destroy any leftovers from reputation of EU, if EU has any reputation worldwide, and it will create additional problems for EU financial system, because investors will speed that investors are taking out their funds from EU economy will just increase. But also it seems like there are some other group of politicians or bureaucrats in the EU that are so Russophobic that they just don't care about anything else. They want to harm Russia as much as they possibly can, and they are all for giving to Ukraine this not just profits from frozen Russian assets, but also those frozen assets itself. Well, let's see how will situation develop. But my understanding is that by freezing Russian assets, EU already did irrecoverable damage to itself and to financial institutions of EU. And that's why, by the way, we did see, and not just EU but also North America also, and that's why we see a series of bankruptcies in the banking system in the EU and in the US, for example. Anyway, let's continue. Eventually, I think, of course, Western leaders will send to Kiev regime at least some parts of frozen Russian assets, because they cannot do otherwise, man. That's what they are. They are thieves, they are criminals, and they will act as such. Simple as that. But anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that leadership of France made decision to send additional military aid package to Kiev regime, this time for 200 million euros, and vast amount of this money, if not entirely, will be spent inside France, by the way, and this money will find its way to bank accounts of French military industrial complex, because Kiev, according to this news, will be able to purchase weapons with this money only in France. Same old story, by the way. Formally, money have been given to Kiev regime, when majority of that sums eventually are finding its way into the West. Ria Novosti is also reporting, by the way, and this is next major topic, escalation in Middle East. So according to Israeli officials, including from IDF, Israeli armed forces are conducting ground operations now in the central parts of Gaza, Gaza City, by the way, and I did share on my Telegram page time to time this video footage of this close range combat that are taking place between Israeli forces and Palestinian armed groups in Gaza and in other areas, other settlements of the Gaza Strip, mainly in the northern part of Gaza. And I remind you, dear friends, that this city, Gaza City, is encircled, basically. And if you take a look here, by the way, this is Gaza Strip, this part, and Gaza City is located approximately in the middle of the northern part of Gaza Strip. So, and just look at this, by the way, how intensely populated used to be Gaza Strip. They are settlement next to settlement, and now fighting is going on in this urban area. And according to different reports, dear friends, from 600,000 to up to million civilians already left Gaza Strip and moved to southern Gaza. And eventually, I guess, idea or plan of Netanyahu's government is to create such a humanitarian disaster in the Gaza Strip that Egypt will be just forced to open its borders and to receive hundreds and hundreds of thousands of civilians, just to make sure that these people will not die by hunger or by dehydration, because even water is because Gaza civilians in Gaza don't have even drinking water. And yesterday I did read some reports that at this point, only 2 pieces of bread are available a day, by the way, for civilians in Gaza. That's how catastrophic situation already is in the Gaza Strip. And maybe even worse than that, because it's difficult to get information from Gaza because of this blockade that are conducted by Netanyahu's government. Let's continue with the news. Well, TASS news agency is reporting that, according to official representative of U.S. State Department, Vedant Patel, U.S. believes that fate of Gaza Strip have to be decided by Gaza residents or Palestinians. Although very same time, State Department noticed that U.S. is still don't see opportunities to go back to status quo. So U.S. in full support of this military operation of Netanyahu's government. They just simply don't care. And dear friends, I remind you that from very beginning of this escalation, I did see risks that Netanyahu's government will push civilians from Gaza Strip into Egypt, or at least will try to do so, and then reoccupies this territory to reintegrate into Israel. And we are seeing exactly this scenario have been implemented in the Gaza Strip. I called it this scenario Karabakh scenario initially, and that's exactly what is happening. And world seems like world can do nothing about it. I mean, everyone understands in which direction things are heading, but seems like world is unable to do anything. which is tragic, of course, because ceasefire have to be achieved immediately, but if world is unable to influence Netanyahu's government, then they will do whatever they please, I mean, whatever they like. Let's continue. And the TASS news agency, by the way, also reported that UN did react on statements of Netanyahu about permanent occupation of Gaza Strip. I remind you that yesterday many media outlets did report that Netanyahu, during one of his interviews, made a statement that after this military operation will end, Israel will maintain control over the Gaza Strip or occupation. And UN did react on this statement and said that UN's official position have not changed, and according to UN according to representative of head of UN Stefan Dujarric, UN believes that solution of Palestinian-Israeli conflict is a two-state to be created, Israel and the Palestine. So they are pushing this two-state narrative still, although, I mean, Netanyahu's government quite clearly demonstrated many times that they are not interested. They just don't care. That's it. TASS news agency is also reporting that 1,400 foreigners did flee to Egypt from Gaza Strip. At this point, it seems like only foreigners are allowed to flee Gaza. But as I said, by the way, I believe Netanyahu's government is planning to create such a humanitarian disaster in the Gaza Strip. Then, firstly, they pushed civilians from the northern sectors towards southern part. And now there are more reports that Israeli units are beginning their operations in the southern Gaza also. And eventually humanitarian situation in this part of Gaza will become so devastating that Egypt will be simply forced to open its borders and receive hundreds of thousands of civilians from Gaza Strip, and those civilians will never go back to Gaza. Israel will never allow those civilians to return to Gaza Strip, I'm quite sure about. At least Netanyahu's government and this right-wing government, right-wing parties that are at this point running Israel. Let's continue, and next news is reported by RT. So US Senate blocks aid for Israel over Ukraine. That's quite interesting. So Senate Democrats on Tuesday blocked a House bill that would have provided emergency aid to Israel without funding to Ukraine, demanding the Republicans agree to President Joe Biden's $106 billion bundle request instead. The White House proposal has sought to combine the aid for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and migration policy presented as border security in order to overcome opposition by some Republicans to continue funding of Kiev. Well, that's quite interesting development. Recently, I did report that Republicans did vote for and come up in support of a bill to support Israel, but without Ukraine. And now it's time for Democrats to do their move, and that's their reaction. They are demanding this Biden's $106 billion request to be approved, in which 61 billion is to be allocated for Kyiv regime. And eventually I believe, if not 61 billion, at least few dozens of billions probably will be allocated to Ukraine, because this is the last big paycheck for US military industrial complex and corrupt officials from Ukrainian story. And they will do everything to make sure that these billions and billions are formally allocated for Kiev. But anyway, let's continue. Kommersant, by the way, newspaper, is reporting that US is not believes, by the way, that Israel is in breach of international law in Gaza or any international agreements when it comes to human rights. How are you gonna comment this? I mean, it's and this was said by John Kirby, by the way, official representative of White House. So White House, Joe Biden and his administration believes that Israel is acting in accordance to all of international law, man, by decimating Gaza Strip and killing thousands and thousands of civilians, including thousands and thousands of children, by the way, kids. And current US leadership is all for this. They think Israel does nothing wrong, which is crazy. I mean, this is shame, though. I mean, decent US citizens are probably, I mean, shaking by these crazies being representatives of their country. These mass murderers, basically. Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that, according to many media outlets, by the way, in this case, CNN did report that cortege or column of President of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, was attacked yesterday afternoon, and one member of Abbas's security forces were killed during that attack. No additional information about this incident, but Abbas himself is unharmed. That's the information that we have for this moment. It's difficult to say who may stand behind this attack. I don't think it's Israel, really, because West Bank, as we can clearly see, is staying out of conflict. And let me show you, by the way, on the map, Mahmoud Abbas is in control of West Bank, this territory here, and the Fatah political and military group are in control of West Bank, and Hamas was in control of Gaza Strip, this part here. And as we can clearly see, West Bank is staying largely out of this escalation, and therefore I don't see a reason why Israel will try to take out president of West Bank, or leader of West Bank, Mahmoud Abbas. So maybe some Palestinian groups did try to target him exactly because West Bank is staying out of this confrontation. Although it's just my guess, I don't know, I was not there. So let's see what additional information will be available for us during the day, and of course I will report about it on my Telegram page and in the next updates. RT, by the way, is also reporting, and now some other news also. So RT is reporting that Russia puts another ICC, International Criminal Court judge, on the wanted list. So Russian government has placed a judge with the International Criminal Court on its list of wanted persons after launching criminal probes into several other officials at the organization. Russia's Interior Ministry updated its database on Wednesday, adding ICC Judge Sergio Gerardo Ugalde Godinez to the wanted list in accordance with an article of the Russian Criminal Code. The ministry has offered no other details about the case against Godinez, a Costa Rican national. Well, this individual is of course a tool of Western leaders, and ICC in general, this international so-called International Criminal Court, is a tool of Western ruling class, and have no respect anywhere in this world. Countries are just forced by Washington and London mainly to become a part of this Rome Statute and to give ICC some jurisdiction over the countries. But in reality, we all know those so-called judges are criminals and should be prosecuted by real judges. That's it. And hopefully Russian side will manage to will manage one day to bring to justice those so-called judges of ICC. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Biden and Xi Jinping, US and Chinese leaders, may fairly soon have a meeting in the US in San Francisco. Yes, in San Francisco. Well, they choose quite a place to conduct a meeting, isn't it? As I understand, San Francisco is one of the worst cities in the US. It's just too bad there. I don't know. I mean, you friends of ours from our community from US can give us additional information. But as I understand, San Francisco and even Los Angeles did become a quite big mess for last few decades. But anyway, on 15th of November, Biden and Xi Jinping may have a meeting there. And well, they have quite a few topics to discuss, of course. But question is, what is the point to have any talks with Biden? I mean, it will be much straight and much right to have a meeting with the people that really makes decisions in the US, because Biden will probably hardly understand who he's talking to. Let's be real. I mean, I don't think he really understands where he is and who is he talking to. I mean, he cannot recognize his own family members. But anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Italy cannot afford NATO's cash demands, and that was said by Italy's defense minister. So Italy has no chance of boosting its military spending to 2% of gross domestic products in 2024, despite NATO's requirements, and won't likely to be able to meet the target within the next 5 years. Italian Defense Minister Guido Crosetto has told lawmakers in Rome. Italy's defense spending this year will equate to 1.46% of GDP. According to a NATO estimate, the ratio will reportedly drop to 1.38% next year and to 1.26% in 2025. So Italy will spend less on defense, not more. At least that's what Italy's government is planning. But well, it will take only one call from Washington, and the very same defense minister will begin making some different statements. That's the reality. Although not every country, by the way, in EU are really able to increase military spending as much as Washington and London would like to see. They are just not in position, economically speaking and financially speaking, to significantly increase money spending, because a significant number of European economies are on the verge of recession and are experiencing some severe problems. And this time to demand from them to increase spendings on billions and billions for defense is, I mean, some countries may manage this, but not all of them. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Germany is to deploy tank battalions to Russian border. Yet another crazy move from current leadership of Germany. So Germany's defense ministry has announced that it will deploy 2 tank battalions to Lithuania, which will form a new brigade together with NATO's joint forward presence battle group, which is already stationed in the Baltic nation. The new unit, which is expected to come into being in 2025, will be made up to 4,800 military personnel in total. Well, yet again, how are we gonna comment this, man? If there will be any military confrontation between Russia and NATO, let's say this battalion will be wiped out in the second. These 2 battalions, and then consequently this new brigade that will be formed will be wiped out in the second, because war between Russia and NATO not gonna be with conventional weapons. It's gonna be with nuclear weapons. So from military standpoint, this deployment means nothing, really. It changes nothing. But from political standpoint, this move definitely once again highlights that Germany currently are run by extremists, by criminals that don't care about Germany's security, about security of German citizens at all. That's what it is, because there's no other explanation can be done to this constant escalation from German leadership towards Russia. It's definitely anti-German move. And if I was German citizen, that's how I will see it. But anyway, let's continue. As I said, from military standpoint, I mean, if Germany will deploy entire its army in Baltic states, it will change nothing strategically, because entire that army will be wiped out in a second. It only takes like a couple of nukes, and that's it. Let's hope this war will never occur between Russia and NATO, but if it does, then that's how that devastating conflict gonna went down. It's not gonna be with conventional weapons for sure. Anyway, let's continue. RBK news agency is reporting that there are yet another wave of escalation between Poland and Ukraine. This time, Polish truckers are blocking border crossings with Ukraine, and they are not happy that Ukrainian colleagues of them are because of the discounts and because they are providing the services in much cheaper price than Polish truckers. They are losing jobs, that's and clients, Polish truckers are saying, and they are demanding some protective measures to be taken by Polish government, and eventually Warsaw probably will be forced to come up with additional barriers for Ukraine, which will of course in its turn even further downgrade relationships between Poland and Ukraine, which is already in a quite bad state. RT is also reporting, by the way, that US nuclear dependence on Russia is a critical threat, according to US officials. Many people may not know that US nuclear energy system is quite significantly dependent on Russian nuclear fuel. And well, it's quite understandable that some officials in US want this dependence to be minimized at least. So US imports vast amount of nuclear fuel and compounds from Russia. a reliance which poses a critical threat to national security. A senior official in the administration of President Joe Biden has told the Financial Times contracts with Russia suppliers provide about 20% of nuclear fuel used by US, which is gravely concerning the assistant security for the nuclear energy, Catherine Huff, said in an interview published on Tuesday. And not that many countries in the world are providing on the world market nuclear fuel, and Russia is definitely one of them, major player in this market. And I don't think US is going to find it easy to get rid of Russian fuel or dependence of Russian supplies. But to be honest, if it was up to me, I will definitely stop all the contracts with US, and I will just ban any exports in the US of anything really, including nuclear fuel. But yet again, current government of Russia has a very different approach. For them, it's business as usual, although when it comes to economical stuff, and despite the fact that in political terms, leadership of US and many other NATO member states are acting extremely unfriendly towards Russia, and are not paying a heavy price for it, at least for now. Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Putin will visit Kazakhstan, by the way, formerly strategic partner of Russia, although I did not see Kazakhstan as a friendly nation to Russia, especially since this Takoev, new individual, this clown, become president of Kazakhstan. He is extremely anti-Russian in every sense, by the way, and I don't see a reason why Putin should visit Kazakhstan. And yet again, I mean, there are time to time some moves that Russian government makes that I just don't understand really. In recent months, Kazakhstan many times acted extremely unfriendly towards Russia. And as I said, man, I'm no longer seeing Kazakhstan and Armenia also, by the way, as a friendly states to Russia. I'm not talking about relationships between the people, by the way. I'm talking about political stuff. And when it comes to Kazakhstan, under current leadership, Kazakhstan is definitely not friendly nation. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, Putin made decision to visit this state. Maybe to teach some lessons to Kazakhstan leader. I don't know. Man. RIA Novosti is also reporting that, according to Putin, by the way, before his visit, he did give an interview to Kazakhstani media, and he said that, trade between the countries are increasing, and in economical terms, situation is not bad, quite good. Although I remind you, dear friends, that Kazakhstan just recently made decisions to ban some exports in Russia of certain goods that are under sanctions by Western states. So yet again, man, maybe some numbers at this point are on a more or less okay level, but Kazakhstan itself is definitely not friendly nation to Russia, and until this clown Takoev is the president of Kazakhstan, it's gonna stay this way, and relationships between Kazakhstan and Russia will only deteriorate. Just mark my words, by the way. Mark my words. That's how it's gonna be. Relationships between Russia and Kazakhstan gonna get as bad as current relationships between Moscow and Yerevan, or between Russian government and Armenian government. Takoev is a same clown, same type of clown as Pashinyan in Armenia. that deserves no respect, absolutely. That individual is not even grateful, by the way, that Russia did save him. Russia did save his life during uprising in Kazakhstan not so long ago. And after that, this clown is acting against Russia. Okay, let's see how well this will end for Kazakhstan. Anyway, let's continue. I'm direct, by the way. I'm not a politician, so I don't care who will like or not like my opinions or my reading of big picture. And when it comes to current leadership of Kazakhstan, they are definitely not friendly to Russia, and they are danger for Russia. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting, by the way, that over 100 British firms admit violating Russia sanctions, and this was reported by Financial Times. Well, if more than 100 companies admit that they are violating Western sanctions on Russia, just imagine how many companies are not admitting nothing and are still working on Russian market or trying to maintain their positions on Russian market. Because that's what business does, man. Business wants to make some money. The business not likes when they are losing money. And by imposing these sanctions on Russia, Western ruling class did hit not just Russia, but also their own economies and their own businesses. Also, RT is reporting that UK, by the way, is probably in a recession, according to Bloomberg. So UK is likely already in a recession due to soaring interest rates and rising unemployment, Bloomberg reports on Monday. According to analysis by Bloomberg Economics, the country's GDP likely shrunk by 0.1% in the third quarter, and there is a 52% chance of another contraction in the last 3 months of the year. This would place the UK in a technical recession, which is defined by 2 consecutive quarters of decline. Well, yet again, we all see on daily basis these news are coming in that major economies in the EU are experiencing some significant difficulties and are on the verge of recession. Technical recession in this particular case, but still it does not look good, isn't it? And yet again, all these troubles, by the way, all these troubles for European economies or economies of collective West was created by their own leadership, artificially, by imposing or starting this sanctions war on Russia. Although, of course, UK is experiencing some difficulties, not just because of the sanctions war, but also because UK left EU, and some business relationships have to be renegotiated between the sides, and it's quite a number of problems did occur in the British economy as a result of leaving EU. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to Russian Central Bank, by the way, in the third quarter, the Russian economy did grow 5.1% in annual terms. Quite impressive, isn't it? So third quarter Russian GDP grew 5.1%, and in annual terms, by the way, according to Central Bank, Russian economy will grow from 2.2 to 2.7%. This is quite conservative estimate, by the way, from Russian Central Bank, because many other institutions are predicting even bigger growth of Russian economy, up to 3%. But anyway, in the circumstances when country is under immense pressure from the West, to achieve economical growth is on its own something special, isn't it? And this is gonna be last news for today's update. RT is reporting that Russia accounts for 1/3 of the world diamond output. Of course, Russia is one of the major producers of or exporters of raw diamonds. And let me read several sentences here from this report. So Russia was the top global producer of raw diamonds in 2022, RIA Novosti reported on Sunday, citing data from Kimberley Process. According to UN-backed organization, the total volume of diamond production in the world last year amounted to 119.96 million carats. Of these, 41.9 million were sourced in Russia, or 35% of of world production, which is quite a number, really. And of course, together with Russia, some major exporters of diamonds are states in Africa, historically. Quite interesting news, quite optimistic news. Well, diamonds, I wouldn't say that I care about diamonds, but it's good that Russia is holding to its leading positions in this segment of the world market, also because it's good for Russian economy, and whatever is good for Russian economy is good for Russian citizens, and well, that's it. Maybe some people did not know or don't know that Russia is also major producer of diamonds, but you know, Russia is major producer of many goods, by the way, not just oil and gas. many other stuff also. And this is it for now. Update is under hour, which is good. Hopefully, dear friends, you will find this update interesting, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like. As I said in the beginning, this is the only way we can fight back YouTube's algorithm. And dear friends, if you are watching on Rumble, please also leave some commentary and about any topic you like. It will also help to develop Rumble channel on Rumble. And for very same reason, if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on any of the platforms that you are active on. And if you think this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram are interesting, informative, has some potential and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.